Hello, happy Halloween again. We started filming one of our Halloween. So it's Halloween tonight, and I'm going to be filming some Halloween themed videos. If you've watched, and I was in the process of filming the first Halloween themed video, but my mum ended up calling me because she needed something in there, so it ended up cutting off. So we're going to start off in this video where we left off the last one by talking about 16th place in our ranking for this video, which is ranking the kills in Fear Street. Before you continue on with this part, before you tune in for 16 to before you tune in for 16 to 1, please watch the first three from 19. Please watch the last video where we went from 19 to 17. So we're gonna the 16th best kill in Fear Street, in the Fear Street Trilogy, which I started in the previous. That I started in the previous video is that of a character called Peter. We're staying with part 1 for the number 16, and Peter is one of the worst characters from the Fear Street Trilogy because, well, in general, he's an awful person. First up, he threatens his then girlfriend Sam in part 1 of the trilogy by groping her. Then she threatens Dina after the car accident in the film that reawakes Sarah Fear from slumber. Later on in the film, Dina sees a man outside her house wearing a skull mask and thinks it's Peter. So she decides, stalking her, wearing the skull mask. So she goes over to the hospital where Sam is recovering from the car accident where she was, when she touched moss and reawoke. When she reawoke, Sam ended up reawaking Sarah Fear during the car crash and was taken to the hospital to recover from the accident. And Dina decides to go over to the hospital that Sam is waiting at to berate Sam for Peter's actions. But straight away, Sam denies that stalking, saying that Peter has been with her all night, and then Sam and Dina get into a little heated argument. But while Sam and Dina, near the end of their argument, near the end of Sam and Dina's argument, Sam criticizes Dina for her life choices, and then Dina replies with the line, "Have a nice goddamn life." And as soon as she says life, you hear a stab, and the camera pans over to Peter, who's standing next to them, and he's got a knife coming through his torso, and he starts gurgling up blood before falling down to the ground. And we see that Skull Mask made his way to the hospital, and he ended up killing Peter. And then after this, there's a chase scene which involves Sam and Dina running away from Skull Mask. So yeah. And you're going to be asking, and some people probably are watching this video and asking, why the fuck did Peter get killed? He's from Sunnyvale. Well, the reason why Peter got killed, despite being from Sunnyvale, because he got in the way of someone. So the rule is, the Shadyside killers only kill and murder Shadysiders. However, Sam, who is originally a Shadysider, in the first film, Sam, who was originally a Shadysider, comes into contact with Sarah Fear's dead corpse, and this causes the killers, the Shadyside killers who have been brought back to life, to all chase Sam. But during the hospital scene, Peter gets in the way, obviously standing next to Sam and Dina, which means Skullmask can't get past him to attack Sam. So Skullmask, when he comes into the room, sees he can't get past Peter to get to Sam, so he decides to kill Sam. So he decides to kill Peter. So if a Shadysider, if a Sunnyvale gets touched with the blood, if a Shadyside killer, if a Shadysider's blood touches the dead body, the dead corpse of Sarah Fear, it causes the Shadyside killers to become attached to that person, and they won't stop chasing that person until they're dead. Sam ends up, as Sam and Dino are having an argument, and as Peter's in the way of Skullmasks, it means Skullmask can't get through to kills. So basically, it's a predator. So basically, the Shadyside killers are predators. When they see it, when they have a target, they keep following that target until they're dead. Even if you get in the way, no matter whether you're Sunnyvale or Shadyside, if you get in the way of one of the killers, you're gonna get killed. And Peter, unfortunately, not fortunately, is the first Sunnyvale character to experience getting in the way of a Shadyside killer. And honestly, the stabbing would be much worse had it not been for the great blood effects, the gurgles, as he gets stabbed, like I said, he gurgles up blood, so he goes like this. She's like at the point of choking, and blood comes out, and blood keeps spewing out of his mouth, and that's what happened. So yeah, Peter definitely deserved his death, and fits in at number 16. 15 is yet another character who got in Skullmask's way of Sam, but this time it was the character of Nurse Betty, who is from Shadyside. So Nurse Betty is the local nurse, is a male nurse at the local hospital in Shadyside, and he's just doing his job when he sees Sam and Dina running past him, and he then sees Skullmask in front of him, and while he tries his best to stop Skullmask from reaching Sam and Dina, but because Nurse Betty is in Skullmask's way, Skullmask grabs his knife and stabs it through Nurse Betty's chin, holding it just enough until stabs it up. Nurse Betty stabs the knife into Nurse Betty's chin and holds him up and just like with Peter, Nurse Betty starts gurgling blood, and he then drops down to the floor dead. So yeah, what propels this stabbing ahead of Peter in 16th is the fact that I feel like getting stabbed through the chin or /throat is more creative than getting stabbed through the chest. So that's why Nurse Betty's just slightly higher than Peter. In 14th, we are staying again with part 1. We talked earlier about the second murder of the second kill in the Fear Street Trilogy. And we're going to start with the kill we're now with the kill that started it all. The trilogy started, in terms of kills, with the kill of Maya Hawke's Heather. This is the final stabbing, and for me, it's the best stabbing, mainly due to the star, they kill off. Mainly due to the star who's playing the character, they kill off. But it's also to do with the fact that it's just, there's more stabbings involved than just one. Like I said, it was the first kill in the Fear Street Trilogy, and it's an homage to the greatest opening scene kill in horror movie history, and that being Casey Becker of the original 1996 Scream, which is definitely, I did make a comment saying it's a, so Fear Street Fear Street Part 1 takes place in 1994, which means in universe Fear Street Part 1 1994, Scream doesn't exist yet, because Scream is 1996. Fear Street takes place in 1994. So in the fictional world of Fear Street, Scream doesn't happen. So yeah, Scream was 2026, 2 years after 2024, which is when Part 1 of Fear Street takes place. So it's homaging, it's doing an homage to a kill that was in a film that wasn't even released in universe until 2 years later. The kill happens during the opening scene of the sequence of the film. Heather is working at the Shadyside. I mentioned this a bit earlier, but Heather is working at the Shadyside Mall, and after locking up, she gets a jump scare from her friend Ryan Torres, who we talked about earlier, who then goes off to close the store he works at. While walking away, however, he hears a voice in his head saying his name, then turns around thinking it's Heather and says, "What?" Heather denies it by saying, "I didn't say anything, dickhead." Like I mentioned earlier, they both leave to their store. We then jump cut to Heather packing up her store, and as she's about to finish off packing the store and leaving the store, she ends up getting attacked by Skull Mask, who starts running after her. She then starts running away, and he starts running after her in a very long-winded chase scene. And while running away from the killer, Heather comes across 3 dead bodies. I said Heather was the first major kill of the trilogy. If you're asking, you said Heather's the main. If you're asking, you said Heather's the main cat, the first kill of the trilogy, and you're just talking about us dead bodies. Heather was the first on-screen Heather was the first on-screen murder in the trilogy / the first cat to die on screen. But like I said, while she's in a chase scene with the killer, she comes across 3 dead bodies sitting on chairs, and before being able to get out of the mall, she is caught up by Skull Mask, who then, after miles, Skull Mask ends up catching up with Heather and stabs her multiple times, which kills her. And while Heather is dying due to loss of blood, Heather is able to grab the mask off, and she sees that it's her friend Ryan, and like I said, and then it harks back to Ryan's kill, which we talked about earlier, where after Ryan kills Heather, he gets shot in the head by Nick Good before the screen cuts to the opening credits of the trilogy, of the film, and the opening credits of the entire Fear Street Trilogy. And some of the kills got better from that point onwards. We're away from stabbings. We're away from knife stabbings, and we're now gonna stick with the knife utensils by talking about a machete / kill. A kill that was done using a machete. and that is of part 2's Alice, played by actress Ryan Simpkins, who is the brother of an actor called Ty Simpkins, who was in the original Insidious, but also and in the Insidious and in the most recent Insidious film, Insidious: The Red Door. But he was also known for playing. the younger brother in the first Jurassic World film. So yeah, Alice, played by Ryan Simpkins, like I said. Is like I said, 13th who plays Alice. Alice was an interesting character in the second film. She was a junkie with a sad past and was not the best friend to one of our main characters, Cindy, sister of Ziggy. However, by the time the film comes around to her kill, you feel very, very sorry for her, because she reveals her hard life, her hard young life, and how she wishes she could, and how bad her crappy life is. And after a very cool pump up speech, getting Ziggy and Cindy riled up to take on the Cheesemakers, before Alice, Cindy and Ziggy are able to escape, are able to put on the last stand, Cindy shouts Alice's name before she turns around and gets slashed across the chest before falling down to the ground, later dying of her injuries. Now you may think, what a measly machete slash, she falls to the ground and she's dead? Why is that higher than being stabbed multiple times, or being stabbed once in the throat, or being stabbed once in the gut? Well, one, it's the opening kill it's the opening on-screen kill of the Fear Street Trilogy, and it's just overall really, really good. And it's just a really good sequence overall as well. Not just the kill, but the sequence that came before. Right, I'm sorry, I was talking about... Sorry, that little bit there, that talking about a very good scene, that was me talking about Heather's death, sorry. The reason why Alice's death is higher than the other ones right now is I felt the emotional impact when she was slashed across the chest. So it just, that emotional impact means like... Oh.
Is there any specific snack you want for the journey tomorrow?
Are you...
I'm going to the petrol station.
Lime bar and a bag of crisps.
A lime bar and a bag of crisps. What sort of crisps?
If there's tangy cheese Doritos.
Okay.
And like I said, the reason why I have Alice's kill above the ones we've done so far is the emotional impact of the kill. Just, the emotional impact puts it over the edge with the other kills we talked about so far. So yeah, that's why it's in 13th. In 12th, we're going to part 3 for the first time since since number 19. We're going to be talking about the character Pastor Cyrus. We're going to be talking about the kill of Pastor Cyrus Miller. It is we're in, like I said, part 3, which is part 3, 1666, and 1666 is where the events of Fear Street all started. So it is the events in the trilogy that started it all. That started all the mayhem across the 3 films. This kill also happens to be, like I said, the killers of Pastor Cyrus Miller, who also happens to be the first ever shady side killer. What puts him so high is not how he kills his victims in the murder spree, but one, how quick he is at killing them, and second of all, the fact that he kills. He kills 12 people in one scene. All the same way, but the fact that he kills 12 people in the same scene doesn't mean then I can be like, okay, it doesn't matter that they're all the same death, they're all the same kill. Come on. Obviously, he could come up with other creative ways of killing him, so he decided to kill his first 12 victims the same way. He kills 12 people, like I said, including... He kills 12 people, who we'll talk about very, very soon. This includes Cyrus's daughter, Constance Berman, played by Sadie Sink of Stranger Things, and Sarah Fear's brother, Henry Fear, played by Benji Flores Jr., who's obviously Josh in the trilogy. So yeah, 12 victims, including Henry and Constance. After killing his 12 victims, the townspeople of Union, which is what Shadyside and Sunnyvale was before it split into Shadyside and Sunnyvale.
Can you take your ironing up, please?
What now?
Not right now, but soon, because it's in my way.
Close the door.
Wait, Max,
Close the door,
chicken
please.
From the sauce, who finished off my star things but doesn't like them, who guzzled the milk without getting any more.
Chicken. The chicken I had for lunch.
I know, you ate it all. What about the fish fingers that were out of date that needed eating? You having those for tea?
Mum said she didn't want anything for tea, so yeah, we could do that. But I'm video filming.
That's fine. You don't have to do it now. I'm just saying the fish fingers are a lot of money. It's £7 of food. So
I'm not going. But the thing is, I'm not going to be stopping until late.
You could, right. I don't care.
Could you
instead of eating my food, eat your own?
Why don't you put them in? It's not the chicken wasn't. The chicken wasn't specifically your food. Well, after that little thing, let's get back to the entry. Oh, we were talking about Pastor Cyrus Miller, who, after killing his 12 victims, which will reveal how he did it later on, but after killing his 12 victims, he starts approaching Sarah Fear before he can stab Sarah. Solomon Good, who we end up finding out is a bad guy, comes out of nowhere with a pitchfork and stabs Pastor Cyrus Miller in the side, who falls down to the ground. So we're one kill away from the top 10. And in 10th and in 11th, we have the 12 victims killed by the person who we literally mentioned the kill of previously, Pastor Cyrus Miller. And this is how Pastor Cyrus Miller murdered his 12 victims by gouging out their eyes. Gouging out their eyes, gory, great, amazing, loved it. It was one of the most shocking scenes ever. It was one of the most shocking scenes in the trilogy. Not as shocking as a scene in part 1, which we'll get to a little bit later, but still a very shocking scene, and I just loved it. It was great. Yeah, so that's very high. It's very high up due to the creative kill, and also the fact that it was a bunch of victims at the same time. Next up, in 10th, we have one that I may have put a bit too low in the list, and that is Nick Good, who died in part 3. We're going back to stabbings. This one's in the eye. This one's in the eye. Nick Good was the main antagonist of the Fear Street Trilogy. At the start of the film, he seemed like a very good person, who was a great police officer, and then in the second film, we see that he built a friendly relationship with Ziggy Berman and even revived her after she died, which we'll get to very, very soon. Going into part 3, we still didn't know who started the Shearside Curse, but then we get the reveal. Solomon Good started the Shearside Curse. Solomon Good is Nick Good's pilgrim ancestor. So he is a part of the curse, and Nick Good also happened to be the one when he was younger that sacrificed. He was also when younger. He also happened to be the one that gave Tommy up to the devil. So basically, Captain Nightwing wouldn't exist as a killer if it wasn't for Nick Good, which is the only, other than his good work in part 1 that he's done, other than his part in in the part 1, has done some really, that's probably his best character, part of his character. Solomon Good made a deal, like I said, obviously, we found out in the third film that someone made a deal with the devil, and it ended up being suspected to be Dina and Sam. But near the end of the film, Dina and Sam, Sarah and Hannah, who was a love interest for Sarah Fear. But yeah, Sarah and Hannah are accused of witchcraft when it's found out that someone has made a deal with. They are suspected to have made a deal with the devil. However, it's revealed later on in the film that it was actually Nick Good who made a deal with the devil, not Sarah and Hannah. And Sarah discovers this in a cave, which is where she also finds the widow's dead body. But while in this cave, so yeah, like I said, Solomon Good made a deal with the devil, and every few years or so, a member of the Good family sacrificed a Shadyside into becoming a killer, like Harry Rooker, Isaac Milton, Ruby Lane, Tommy Slater, and Ryan Torres. After the truth about the curse is revealed, Dina and Josh just team up with Ziggy and Martin to kill Nick Good and end the curse. So they decide to set up a trap in the Shadyside Mall. After the trap fails, Dina chases Nick Good into the underground of the mall to finally kill him. After a bit of a struggle, Dina forces Nick's hand onto a pig's brain that helps bring the Shayside killers back to life. Nick touches it and gets visions of previous murders that happened during the Shayside curse, and sees the damaged corpse of Kate, Simon, Cindy, and Alice, and then sees Sarah Fear, who sees the damaged corpse of Kate, Simon, Cindy, and Alice, who we'll get to later, and then sees Sarah Fear, who repeats the curse she set back in 1666 for Solomon and his future ancestors. And then Dina grabs a knife, stabbing Nick Good through the eye, killing him instantly, which ends the curse and ultimately ends Nick Good's reign of terror. This also, yeah, let's go. I'm going to read that part that I just read again. Dina forces Nick's hands onto a pig's brain that helps bring back the Shayside killers back to life. Nick touches it and gets visions of previous murders that happened during the Shayside curse, and sees the damaged corpse of Kate, Simon, Cindy, and Alice, and then sees Alice, who we'll get to later, and then sees Sarah Fear, who repeats the curse she set back in 1666 for Solomon and his future ancestors. And then Dina grabs a knife, stabbing it through Nick's ear, through Nick's eye, killing him instantly, which ends the curse and ultimately ends Nick Good's reign of terror. This also starts a Sunnyvale curse, which sets up future Fear Street sequels after. Like I said at the start of the last video, Fear Street Prom Queen, the fourth entry of the franchise, releases in 2025 after it finishes filming, which it currently is in the filming stage, and the film is currently in the filming stage, which stars Barbie and Stuck in the Middle star, also known as young Gamora in Avengers Endgame, who also played young Gamora in Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War, but also was in the 2024 film Borderlands. So that's number 10. We'll get to number 9 very, very soon, because I have to quickly take a break from this video and go and get my phone charger, because my phone is running out. And if I don't put my phone on charge in time, my video will cut off again, and I'll have to film this video. I'd have to continue filming this video through a third recording. So I'll be back. We can take them upstairs. I am back, and let's continue this video with number 9. In number 9 on the list for ranking, on my list for when it comes to ranking the kills, the major kills from the Fear Street Trilogy, and it is 9 and 8 are very, very similar. Well, they're exactly the same, just a little bit different. They're very, very, they're basically 99% similar. There's a few differences. In 9th, we have the first member of the Berman twins. We have, from part 2, Ziggy. And in 8th, we have the second murder of the Berman twin, the second member of the Berman twins, and in the form of Cindy. Cindy and Ziggy both die in a final stand against the Shadyside Killers. Ziggy dies after being repeatedly stabbed before being revived by Nick Good, as I mentioned when talking about Nick Good. And Cindy dies after being repeatedly stabbed, but is slightly higher than Ziggy due to the fact that she did end up perishing and wasn't brought back to life, unlike Ziggy, who was. So that's what puts Cindy just above her sister Ziggy in terms of best kill, in terms of kills, in terms of the kill in the Fear Street Trilogy. In 7th, we're sticking with part 2, and we're going to go back. We're going to go to Alice's former boyfriend, due to them both being dead, Arnie. Arnie is the first kill of part 2. Arnie, just like his girlfriend, is a junkie. After Cindy, Tommy and Alice and Arnie discover a cabin in the woods that belongs to a witch. That belongs to Sarah Fear. That belongs to, I think, Sarah Fear, I can't remember. Belongs to someone. They head down a cave. Alice takes Cindy over to a bunch of rocks while Arnie and Tommy hang back. After seeing Tommy's name on the rocks, Alice and Cindy get worried and decide to head back up to Arnie and Tommy. Arnie is walking around and Tommy is sitting down, very still, looking all sweaty, while a voice is whispering his name in his head, which, as you may know by now, only means one thing in the Fear Street trilogy, and that is he's turned, and after being turned into the Sheer Killer, Tommy stands up, grabs an axe that was lying around, picks it up, and then lodges it straight into Arnie's face multiple times before which, and after killing Arnie, Cindy and Alice run away and end up getting trapped in the cave while Tommy Sater finds his way out of the cave to go on his 1978 Shadyside murder spree. So yeah, we're nearly there at the top 5. In number 6, we have Joan, also from part 2. Number 6 is Joan from part 2. Joan was a Nightwing camp counselor was a Shadyside Nightwing camp counselor who was super obsessed with smoking and Sarah Fear. It is after having sex, however, when she bites the dust. Joan has sex with Sunnyvale Kurt before he leaves the room, and Joan decides to start smoking. And while wandering around smoking, she comes into the path of Tommy, who is now a Shadyside Killer. And before she can make her move and run away, she has the axe slashed across her entire chest 2 times. And then she falls to the ground dead with a very big gash down her entire body. We're now into the top 5. In 5th, we have Tommy Slater. Who, like I said, was also known as the Camp Nightwing Killer. After killing multiple victims, he attacks Ziggy. Tommy / Camp Nightwing attacks Ziggy, who ends up putting a potato sack over his head. And then Cindy uses Tommy's own axe to decapitate him before he is eventually revived. And even though he is revived due to the Suicide Curse, it's on the list as a kill because I can do it if I want it on the list and nothing's going to stop me. In 4th, we have the main protagonist of the entire trilogy. You would say, oh, Dina is the main protagonist of the trilogy. Technically not. The original protagonist was Sarah Fear, which makes her the main antagonist. The original antagonist in Fear Street was Sarah Fear, which makes her easily, for me, the main protagonist, despite not having too much to do throughout the trilogy. This is the final part 3 kill, and we're ending off with a kill that I really like. It's what I consider a sacrificial kill, because Sarah Fear dies so that she can which gives a possible good future to Shayside after she was accused, and this was after she was accused of witchcraft. After being accused of witchcraft, along with her love interests, Hannah, they end up escaping and they end up having to hide from the people in the residence of Union, which, like I said earlier, was Shayside and Sunnyvale before it became Shayside and Sunnyvale. But yeah, Sarah Fear is able to hide from the members of Union, but Hannah is not so lucky and ends up being captured. And after Sarah Fear finds Sam, she ends up heading down to a bunch of caves, which we will eventually visit later on in part 3. And after getting into the cave, she goes down and finds this place with these tall rocks. And while she's walking around, she hears footsteps, and out comes from where she came from, and out where Sarah Fear comes from. And where Sarah Fear comes from, out comes Solomon Good. And then the big reveal happens after Sarah Fear's hand is severed and ripped off. Sarah Fear runs away from Solomon Good, but before she can, and then after heading outside, after getting out the caves and heading outside of the main building of Union, before she can, hide again, Solomon Good comes out too and reveals her location, and that means due to being accused of witchcraft, she is eventually hung by a rope. And after being hung by a rope, Solomon Good lets go of the rope, killing Sarah Fear. And near the end of the 1666 segment of part 3 of the Fear Street Trilogy, she is buried by her friends Lizzie, Isaac, and Constance's sister, played by Emily White, who played Cindy in part 2. Sarah Fear is a hero and will always be a hero in the Fear Street universe. We're now on to the top 3, and we've got the final part 2 kill of Fish. We've got the final part 2 kill of Fear Street that we're going to be covering, and that is of Gary from who died near the end of the film. Part 2 has very heavily populated this Fear Street kill ranking. Luckily, but like I said, we're down to our final one, which means number 1 and 2, as you can tell, are from part 1. Because part 3 is done. Part 3 was finished with Sarah. Part 2 was finished with Gary, and part 3 was finished with Sarah. Part 2 is now finished with Gary, which means there's only one film left that I haven't said that for, and that's Fear Street Part 1. So we've got number 1 and 2 are from Fear Street. But we're going to talk about Gary less. Gary was decapitated by Tommy Slater. He is the final Shadyside Camp Nightwing camp counselor from Part 2 and dies near the end of the film. Gary is helping Ziggy to lift up Alice and Cindy from a cave they were trapped in, and while in the process of pulling up Alice, Tommy comes into camera and without hesitation decapitates Gary before his body and decapitated head fall into the cave right in front of Alice, who also fell. And you'll see why, and you'll see more reasons why this is my favourite kill from Part 2 when I give you the best kill from my top 10 movies of the 2020s so far. Stay tuned for that video. That's it. We're down to the final 2. In second, we have Simon Callie Voda. Simon is killed in the final act alongside her friend, alongside another character who is number one. Simon is one of Dina's friends. Simon, for me, was a great character, and I was most certainly sure that he would survive the film and continue in to the sequel. And when it looks like it's very close to happening, he ends up getting killed. Josh and Simon are running away from Ruby Lane when they stop in their tracks as they see the dead body of a character who we'll talk about very, very soon. After seeing the body of this dead body, the camera pans to Simon and Josh looking at each other before, out of nowhere, Captain Nightwing comes into frame and thrashes an axe into Simon's skull, killing him instantly. Despite loving Simon, his death most certainly did not sour my taste. As it was a standout kill, and is my second favourite kill in the Fear Street Trilogy. But that leads us into number one. Earlier on in this segment about Simon, I mentioned Simon and Josh finding a dead body. The dead body they found was of Dina's other friend, Kate. And now you ask, how was she killed? And how was she killed, you might think? Well, I think we're about to talk about it and how she was killed. Because my number one kill from the Fear Street Trilogy had to be of Kate. It had to be of Kate. I have never seen a death as unique as this one, as number one on this list. I've got a small description about the kill and then a big description about the kill underneath. So we're going to quickly go through the small description of the kill. Kate, from part one, stabbed in the gut by Skull Mask, then has her face planted in a birthday cake. An adjustment sensor then gets turned on before Skull Mask uses it to obliterate Kate's cake face that is covered in cake into oblivion. And it includes a very messy aftermath, which caught due to a mixture of blood and cake, due to a splatter. Because after Kate is killed, a bunch of blood and cake splatters everywhere. Kate, wonderfully played by actress Julie Wayvout, who joined the cast of One Piece for season 2 on Netflix, is a great character and deserved to survive the first film, but the film came to the final act and it was Kate's final stand. Kate, who has been helping Dina, Josh, Simon and Sam throughout the film, dies right at the end. After kissing Josh, Kate gets into position for the fight against the Shadowsakers. Dina and Sam are executing their part of the plan when Skullmask comes into picture and tries to attack Sam and Dina, but before he can, Kate comes to their rescue, using a lighter and a can of spray to create a homemade flamethrower. Well, a store-made flame, a instinct flamethrower. She then runs away. She then runs away with Skullmask on her trail. But after taking refuge behind the counter, Kate tries to hide from Skullmask, but Skullmask is able to find her, and after the two thrash around, Kate stops Skullmask from stabbing her using a cupcake tray, but then gets stabbed in the gut before Skullmask grabs her face and smashes it. And splashes it. And smashes it into a cake. While Kate and Skullmask are flashing around, the camera quickly cuts past an industrial bread slicer. After Skullmask smashes Kate's face into the cake, he turns the industrial bread slicer on and then slams Kate's head near the bread slicer blades and then strangles Kate for a little bit. But unfortunately, in the end, Kate couldn't save herself, despite her best efforts. Kate's time is up when Skullmask is able to shove Kate's head halfway through the industrial bread slicer blades, which causes Kate's skull and head to be obliterated. And then to add to the extreme death, blood from Kate's head and cake splatters everywhere. Kate's kill is so unique compared to the others on this list, due to using a completely new murder weapon that has never been used before in a horror movie, which easily makes it the best kill of the Fear Street Trilogy and one of the best kills in the 2020 horror movie. And it is so very worthy, just like how Thor and Captain America are worthy to hold Mjolnir. Kate's kill is the benchmark kill for every 2020 film to try and beat, and takes number 1 on this ranking of the kills in the Fear Street Trilogy. But that's the end of the list. Hopefully you've enjoyed watching the first video on Gibby O'Brien's YouTube Halloween Spectacular in the in the second video of Gibby O'Brien's Halloween Spectacular. We're staying with Fear Street, where we're going to be ranking the characters. Until then, subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell to know when that video pops up, or to know when these 5 videos pop on my channel, and when future videos pop on my channel. Until part 2 of Gibby O'Brien's Halloween video extravaganza, I'm out. Peace. Bye.